In a sense, it's very simple. It's about winning. It's not about issues. It's not about personalities. These are professional politicians who want to be president. So it's a game. And it's a game set up because somebody's got to be president. Every country needs a president. We're going to have one, and it is simply about winning. There isn't a single theme. On the Republican side, for example, they have spent months now already talking about things like, is the Bible actually the Word of God or not? Now, that's not a pressing issue in the United States, but that's what they're debating. Should gays be married or not? Yes, there are important issues. There's issues like the Iraq War. There are issues like the economy, which is very weak and getting weaker. But the problem in American politics is that much of the conversation has nothing to do with the great big issues facing the country. It rather has to do with these very tiny little things, with social issues, with how you comb your hair, what you look like on television. It really, in many ways, is a very trivial, almost silly kind of conversation, rather than the sort of conversation or the sort of debate you would expect a great country like the United States to have as it chooses its leader. What is clear is that the majority of Americans think the country is today headed in the wrong direction. They don't know where they want it to go, but they know they don't want it to go in the direction we're now headed. They are unhappy with the war in Iraq in general. They're unhappy with the economy. They're unhappy with the nastiness that is in the political system. Republicans yelling at Democrats, Democrats yelling at Republicans. So what they know they don't want is more of what we have today. They can't answer the question because the nation is divided on many issues. They can't say, well, we want this. If they knew they wanted this, we wouldn't have to have the election. It'd be a very simple process. Somebody would stand up and say, I can do that. But America isn't clear on what it wants, basically because it's a very complicated time. The United States, over the last decade, let's say, has had a very, very good economy, probably the best in our history. We have established ourselves after the Soviet Union collapsed as the greatest power in the world. And then the question is, what do you do next? And so you've got a very complicated situation domestically, externally. We are the only big country in the world, only big industrial country, for example, that is still growing in terms of people. The United States, partly because of immigrants from Mexico, is a country that is now today about 305 million people. We're adding an enormous number of people every year, and those people want different things than, say, old people want. So there's a very active and lively debate about what kind of country should we have. Should it be very conservative or very liberal? Should it be engaged in the world, fighting wars where wars have to be fought, or should it just say, forget the world and come back home and just take care of yourself? Should it be a more conservative country like George Bush wants, or a more liberal country like either Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama want? The nation in the last decade, more or less, has been roughly split. 50% say go that way and 50% go that way, which is part of the reason why there isn't a clear answer. Different people think different things are important. There are some of my fellow Americans who will tell you it really does matter whether a candidate for the president goes to church every Sunday or not. It really does matter whether a candidate for the presidency thinks gay people should or should not be married. And it's hard for me as an analyst to say those are important when we have people dying in Iraq, we have a recession starting in the United States, we have people being thrown out of their houses because of the housing problem. But it is a very complicated political moment in the United States. And at the end of the day, this will be a close election. A big landslide in America would be if a Democrat won 52% of the vote, or 53% of the vote. That would be an overwhelming landslide, which means you will still have 40 to 45 to 47% of voters voting for the guy who loses. And unlike Mexico, we only have two candidates, and I think we'll only have two candidates again this time. So you have to vote for either vote for this guy or that guy, and a lot of people won't vote for Hillary because they don't like her, won't vote for Obama because they don't like him. But I just still do think one of them will be the next president of the United States.